Hi, this is Sir Absalon of MathAlas channel, and welcome once again in another episode of Learning in Mathematics.
We have learned how to solve quadratic equation in the form of ax squared minus c equals 0 by extracting square roots. Also, we have applied all the factoring techniques that you have learned in grade 8 in order to solve quadratic equations. Now, let's consider this quadratic equation. X squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0. Can you factor it? In this case, we cannot solve it by factoring, and we have to use completing the square in order to solve for x. To solve quadratic equations by completing the square, our goal is to transform ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 into the quantity of x minus h squared equals k, provided that k must be greater than or equal to 0. Kasi kapag si k ay less than 0, there's no solution. There's no real solution for the quadratic equation. To solve quadratic equations by completing the square, the following steps can be followed. 1. Divide both sides of the equation by a, then simplify. Number 2. Write the equation such that the terms with variables are on the left side of the equation and the constant term is on the right side. Number 3, you have to add the square of 1/2 of the coefficient of x on both sides of the resulting equation. The left side of the equation becomes a perfect square trinomial. Step number 4, express the perfect square trinomial on the left side of the equation as a square of a binomial. Step number 5, solve the resulting quadratic equation by extracting the square roots. Step number 6, solve the resulting linear equations. And lastly, we have to check the solution obtained against the original equation. Let's have example number 1. Find the solution of the equation x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0 by completing the square. Since we cannot factor it, we will use the completing the square. And we will follow the steps that we have discussed a while ago. Since a is equal to 1, there's no need for us to divide the equations by 1 kasi you will have the same equation. So our goal now is to isolate the constant term on the right side of the equation. So let's solve this. So x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0. So our goal is to isolate again the constant term on the right side. So to do that, we have to add positive 3 to both sides of the equation. Now we have x squared plus 4x equals 3. Now, we have to add the square of the half of b to form a perfect square trinomial. So in this case, ang b natin is 4. So you get the half of 4. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then you have to square it. So again, 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then when you square it, meaning you multiply it to itself, so you will have 4. So in this case, we have to add 4 to both sides of the equation. Now, on the left side of the equation, meron na tayong perfect square trinomial. So let's simplify this first. So we have x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 7. Now again, we have a perfect square trinomial on the left side, and now we can express this as square of a binomial. So we know that we can express it in this way: the quantity of x plus 2 squared. Kasi ang factor ng x squared ay x. Ang factor naman ng 4 ay 2. So, dahil positive din ang signs ng ating mga terms, so kaya positive ang ating 2. So, the x squared plus 4x plus 4, which is a perfect square trinomial, kapag inire-write natin siya as square of binomial, it's equivalent to the quantity of x plus 2 squared equals 7. Now, in this case, we have to get the square root of both sides of the equation to solve for x. So to get the square root of the quantity of x plus 2 squared, so it's just x plus 2, na-cancel na yung squared. Now, in this case, the square root of 7, wala tayong square root of 7, so positive and negative square root of 7 yan. So, we can now solve for x since we have a linear equation already. So, we have two equations dahil meron tayong positive or negative 7. So, let's split that into 2. We have x plus 2 equals square root of 7. Ang isa naman, x plus 2 equals negative square root of 7. So, the solution, the value of x for x plus 2 equals square root of 7 is x is equal to negative 2 plus square root of 7. Sa kabila naman, ang value ng x is negative 2 minus square root of 7. Therefore, the solutions of the equation x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0 are negative 2 plus square root of 7 or negative 2 minus square root of 7. So, we will now check whether these solutions hold true. Check the solutions obtained against the original equation x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0. So, to do this, dahil alam natin na meron tayong dalawang solutions, which is x is equal to negative 2 plus square root of 7 at x equals negative 2 minus square root of 7. So, isa-substitute natin itong mga values na ito sa original equation. Now, to check if the equation holds true, so for this one, so we have x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0. So, isa-substitute natin si x equals negative 2 plus square root of 7. So, kapag substitute natin sa lahat ng values ng x, we have the quantity of negative 2 plus square root of 7 squared plus 4 times the quantity of negative 2 plus square root of 7 minus 3 equals 0. Now, as you can see here, we can square this one so into a perfect square trinomial. So, to do this, we have 4 minus 4 square root of 7 plus 7. Bakit kaya? Take note that we have to square a and b. Itong negative 2 at square root of 7. And then, to get the middle term, we have to combine these two and then double it. So, again, negative 2 squared is positive 4. So, we go with square root of 7. Square root of 7 squared is positive 7 kasi square root of 7 times square root of 7 is still 7. Now, let's combine square root of 7 with negative 2. So, you have negative 2 square root of 7. Then, you double it, you will have negative 4 square root of 7. Sa kabila naman, i-distribute lang natin si 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. 4 times the square root of 7 is 4 square root of 7. Then, minus 3. Now, as you can see, if we combine like terms, 4 plus 7 is 11. 8, negative 8, plus the negative 3 is negative 11. So, when you combine 11 and negative 11, 0 na. So, cancelled na siya. Negative 4 square root of 7 plus 4 square root of 7 also leads to 0. So, meaning, the solution, negative 2 plus square root of 7 holds true. The same process will be done in checking if x equals negative 2 minus square root of 7 holds. So, again, substitute natin siya ulit. Same process. Then, we get the square. So, we have 4 plus 4 square root of 7 plus 7. Then, distribute 4. So, 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Then, 4 times negative square root of 7 is 4 square root of 7 minus 3 equals 0. And then, we combine like terms. So, 4 plus 7, it's positive 11. Then, we have negative 8 plus the negative 3, it's negative 11 also. So, when you combine positive 11 with negative 11, it's 0. So, may 1, 4 square root of 7 minus 4 square root of 7, which is also 0. So, therefore, it holds true. So, yan po yung way para i-check natin kung tama yung solutions. So, the equation x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0 has two solutions. So, the solutions are x equals negative 2 plus square root of 7 or x is equal to negative 2 minus square root of 7. Let's have example number 2.
Adi, Kuya, Nene, Tete. Please subscribe to my Dadies channel. Salamat.
Solve the equation 2x squared plus 4x minus 2 equals 0. In this case, napapansin natin na ang a is equal to 2 and b and c are all divisible by 2. So we can simplify this equation before applying the completing the square. So let's solve it. So again, kailangan nating i-simplify sa equation by dividing both sides of the equation by a, which is 2. So kapag dinivide na natin, you'll have x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 0. Again, our goal is to isolate the constant term on the right side. So to do this, we have to add both sides of the equation by positive 1. So kaya ang nangyari, you have x squared plus 2x equals 1. Now, we have to do completing the square. So, para gawin natin yon, you get the value of b. Alam natin ang value ng b is 2. So, again, we get the half of 2, then square it. So, 2 divided by 2 is 1. When you square 1, it's still 1. So, kailangan nating mag-add ng positive 1 sa both sides of the equation para magkaroon tayo ng perfect square trinomial sa left side of the equation. Now, let's combine and simplify this. So, as you can see, sa equation natin, sa right side, 2 na lang yan siya. Kasi 1 plus 1 is 2. But on the left side of the equation, it's a perfect square trinomial and we can rewrite it as square of binomial. So, x squared plus 2x plus 1 can be written as the quantity of x plus 1 squared. Now, let's take the square root of both sides of the equation. So, we have x plus 1 equals positive or negative square root of 2. Now, this time, meron na tayong linear equation. Now, we will split this one into 2 kasi ang value natin sa right side ay positive and negative square root of 2. So, we have two solutions. So, the other one is x is equal to negative 1 plus square root of 2 kasi nag-add tayo ng negative 1 to both sides of the equation. The other one is x is equal to negative 1 minus square root of 2. So the solutions for the equation 2x squared plus 4x minus 2 equals 0 ay x is equal to negative 1 plus square root of 2 or x is equal to negative 1 minus square root of 2. Example number 3. Solve the equation x squared plus 8x minus 5 equals 0. So in this case, a is equal to 1. So there's no need for you to divide both sides of the equation by a. So ang gagawin na lang natin is to isolate the constant term in the right side of the equation. So let's isolate it. So we have to add both sides of the equation again by 5 para matanggal natin rather si negative 5 sa left side of the equation. Now, next step is to get the value of b. Ang b natin is 8. So, ang rule to make it perfect square trinomial sa left side of the equation, kukunin natin si b and get the half of it, then square it. So, 8 divided by 2 is 4. When you square it, you will have 4 squared, which is equal to 16. So, in this case, kailangan nating mag-add ng both sides ng 16 sa both sides of the equation. Now, we have a perfect square trinomial on the left side and we have to combine 5 and 16. So, we have 21 on the right side of the equation. Now, again, since we have a perfect square trinomial, x squared plus 8x plus 16, pwede natin siyang i-rewrite as the square of binomial, which is x plus 4 squared. So, we get the square root of both sides of the equation, and then, so sa left side, we only have x plus 4, while on the right side, we have positive or negative square root of 21. Again, there are two solutions for this dahil meron tayong positive and negative square root of 21 sa right side. So, we isolate again the variable x on the left side. So, the value of x is negative 4 plus square root of 21 at ang isa naman ay x is equal to negative 4 minus square root of 21. So, ganun lang siya kasimple. So, again, the solutions of the equation x squared plus 8x minus 5 are x is equal to negative 4 plus square root of 21 or x is equal to negative 4 minus square root of 21. Please pause the video and try these exercises. And don't forget to type your answers on the comment section.